So Casper recently joined the Blockchain Association. I'm not joking, I'll show it on the screen. And I think arguably it's an awesome announcement, but why does it even matter? I'll talk about that in today's video, and I'll discuss the price a little bit later when it comes to Casper, but I first want to clarify, nothing I say is financial advice. I am not telling anyone to do anything, and this is just my personal review. Now, if we take a look at this, people like to say, well, Casper joining the Blockchain Association, who really cares about that? Well, we have to let this sink in. When it comes to the Blockchain Association, it is the main group when it comes to this space, right? That oftentimes vouches for projects when it comes to this space in terms of advocating and also like, I guess helping shape the policy and stuff like that. This really matters because if we take a look at Casper, this gives them a direct seat within that association, right? Which is automatically, of course, going to help it better understand the regulations, what is changing when it comes to this space, and how the rules are. And that's very crucial because Casper is a project that is focused on real world assets and as well as AI, in which case we see a lot of the rules sometimes, kind of shifting here and there, right? So of course, Casper with a project that's so focused on a niche like that, it's important that it is in tune with the rules and the regulations and also what's changing. It's very important that a project like this knows all that type of stuff and follows those specific rules and regulations, right? Because of course, Casper is aiming to have better enterprise adoption. These enterprises want to know what they're partnering up with does have good, rule following, I suppose. So of course, this is something that I think does matter when it comes to Casper, especially over the long haul. I get it, it may not seem that exciting at first glance, and joining this association, basically, long story short, is going to help Casper kind of navigate the waters, so to speak, right? It's going to help it be able to navigate those waters better in a pure analogy, just because it's focused on two very specific niches that oftentimes have changing sort of rules and stuff. So it really does matter when it comes to Casper, in my opinion, especially in this case. And while a lot of other people out there are complaining that Casper went down around almost 2% in the past 24 hours, we have to consider in the past 30 days, Casper has recovered around 70%. 70%, right? This is what I've been saying. The whole time I've been saying that I'll never be able to know when the market could recover, but I was just waiting the entire time. And it kind of showcases that sometimes things don't matter until they eventually do. I'm not saying that every single project is going to matter, but I'm just saying Casper, with the market recovering just like a couple percent, the recovery has already been almost 70, or should I say around 70% in the past 30 days. So we got to let that sink in. Sometimes projects that have a good use case, that have a good, I guess, foundation in terms of the fundamentals, don't typically get forgotten about like that randomly if the market were to recover. And now, this is, keep in mind, still not even, I think, a taste of what the market could really do, in a sense where, because Casper is still so low compared to where it once was. If we take a look at it, Casper, in terms of market cap, just back in March of 2024, was around 600 million. Again, right? We're well over 10 times away from that. I just want to make that clear, around 15 times, basically. And if we take a look at it, okay, we don't want to look that far. Let's just take a look at May of 2025. The market cap was around 220 million. So again, we're over 5 times away from that. Here's the thing. People like to tell me, oh wow, Casper did so amazing. Yes, in the short term, in the past 30 days, but comparatively speaking to last year and the year before, this is still a far cry from its peak in 2025 and 2024. So I'm not so excited yet, but at the same time, I'm not going to complain about this because I thought it was quite legendary actually seeing this pretty decent recovery, I would say, right? And again, I'm still waiting, I'm still holding, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. And the reason why is because if I just take a look at Casper, the journey still seems quite far if it were to go back to its peak last year and the year before. So I'm not necessarily so enthusiastic about this. It's still down by quite a lot in the grand scheme of things, but seeing that recovery, wow, I'm pretty happy to see that nonetheless, even though I'm not too excited yet, but I'm just saying still. Now, people like to tell me, well, if Casper just goes back to around a 200 million market cap, or around 220 million, I should say, like what it saw in May of last year, people like to say, well, how is that anything interesting? Like, how is that even cool? They like to tell me that. Well, first of all, if you saw my videos when Casper was at around like a 30 million market cap, then the journey back to that would be around 7 times, right? But because Casper recovered a little bit, now the journey back to around 220 million is over 5 times. Now, from right now to that market cap, first of all, I wouldn't find that to be boring in a sense, just because if Bitcoin went back to, let's say, its peak last year, it's around a 2 times movement. Not even that, actually, like slightly under that right now because of the recovery, right? But Casper going back to its just positioning back in May is like over 5 times. So we gotta just let that sink in sometimes. If Bitcoin going back to its peak last year is being viewed as something so legendary, why would this having, let's say, a better percentage recovery comparatively to last year, why would that be suddenly considered bad? It just makes no sense to me. It's not like because this is an altcoin, I would find it boring if, let's say, it only went back to around a 220 million market cap and the movement is only around like 5 times from now. I wouldn't find it boring because of that. Because if we take a look at it, like that type of movement is already quite impressive, I think, personally for me, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, because, you know, Bitcoin returning to its peak last year is not doing that type of movement. But that's just from what I realized. We'll wait and see what they can really do, but I'm just saying this is from what I've observed so far when it comes to the charts, right? And I'm just still waiting and holding because, again, like I mentioned time and time again, I'll never be able to know when the market could recover. So I'm just holding and waiting, and that's really about it. I'm still dollar cost averaging approximately once a month, but I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But nonetheless, seeing how Casper recently joined the blockchain association, I thought it was pretty cool. Now, was that the reason why Casper had a recovery? No, I don't think so. You know, I think it's because the market overall had a decent change in market sentiment, but I think that helps to a certain extent. It's not the end all be all, but I think it helps somewhat, you know, I guess. But again, at the end of the day, this is a layer 1 blockchain here that's focused on AI and real world assets. I mean, sure, there are a lot of them out there, but Casper has been around for years at this point. It has a clear focus and it already has an established community. Other projects out there, sure, there are a lot that are focused on this, but Casper's just been around for quite a while. You know, that's the way I take a look at it. So it's kind of been here, done that. It's not like other projects out there that are still like kind of navigating the waters, so to speak, that still don't really know what to do. Casper already has a clear goal, a clear intent. It doesn't mean that it will achieve all of its goals. It doesn't mean that, but this is just from what I realized, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. However, I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward when it comes to Casper, and hopefully y'all stay tuned for that. I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very fantastic day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.